In a small village named Ebu, a young man named Kelioojor fell deeply in love with a girl named Ketu. They had known each other since childhood, sharing laughter, dreams. Under the bright sun and the starry sky, Kelioojor was hardworking, gentle, and filled with hope. His affection for Ketu was unshakable. He saw in her the potential for greatness, a beauty that went beyond her futures and rested in her ambition. Ketu too had a big dream. She longed to leave the village and embrace a life of wealth and sophistication she had only had in passing. Seeing this, Kelioojor poured his heart and soul into helping her realize that dream. He worked tirelessly, taking on odd jobs and sacrificing his own needs so Ketu would go to school. It was no small feat. Every coin he earned went towards her fees, her books, her clothes. His love was pure, unselfish, unwavering. Ketu was his world, and he wanted nothing more than to see her succeed, even if it meant he would be left behind. Years went by, and Ketu graduated, moving to the city to pursue her dream. At first, she would call Kelioojor, telling him about her new life, her job, the city lights, and the people she met. But as time went on, the calls became fewer, her words more distant. Kelioojor, still in love, held on to her every word, never doubting her intentions. He was certain that their bond would stand the test of time and distance. Finally, after some time apart, Kelioojor gathered the courage to propose. He traveled to Lagos City, heart racing, his hands clutching to the ring he had saved for over the years. He imagined the look on her face, the tears of joy when he would ask her to be his wife. When he arrived at the address he found Kelioojor dressed in expensive clothes, mingling with people he had only seen in movies or magazines. She seemed different, colder, more aloof. When Ketu saw him, she was surprised. She asked, "What are you doing here?" "Ketu," he said, his voice filled with hope, "I have come all this way to ask you something important. You are my everything. Will you marry me?" Ketu looked at him, her expression unreadable. She gently took his hands and pulled him away from the crowd, where she dropped her voice to a whisper. "Kelioojor, look at you. You still carry the smell of a village. You are kind, you're good, but you are no longer the same. I've outgrown you. I have a new class to represent. Can't you see that?" Her words hit him like a bow. Desperate, he pleaded with her, asking if she could overlook their differences and remember they had been through a lot. But Ketu only shook her head, her eyes sharp with annoyance. "Be a man and stop crying like a child," she snapped. "You will never fit into my world. Move on, Kelioojor." Shattered and broken, Kelioojor returned to the village, his heart in tatters. His life, once filled with purpose of joy, became empty. Days turned into nights as he wandered, lost in grief. The idea of going on without Ketu seemed impossible. One evening, he found himself standing at the edge of the river, looking into the dark, swirling water, feeling as though he had nothing left to live for. But at that moment, Ojolimi appeared. She had known him since childhood and had always admired his kind heart. Seeing him so broken stirred something deep within her. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder and sat beside him in silence. Over the next few weeks, she stayed close, encouraging him to find meaning in his life and beyond the heartbreak that Ketu had caused. With time, her patience and kindness started to heal his wounded heart. Slowly, Kelioojor began to see Ojolimi differently. She was steady, warm, and true, unlike Ketu, who had sought out the approval of strangers. Ojolimi valued the beauty in simple things. The two began to grow closer, sharing laughter and dreams under the same sky that had once held his memory with Ketu. Gradually, he found peace in Ojolimi's presence, and in time, they fell deeply in love. Meanwhile, Ketu's life in the city wasn't as dazzling as she had imagined. She met wealthy, successful men who promised her the world. None of them had Kelioojor's warmth or loyalty. She felt increasingly empty. Her life, a hollow shell of parties and meaningless conversation. She soon realized the value of what she has lost, remembering the unwavering love Kelioojor has shown her. One day, she heard rumors of Kelioojor's newfound happiness with Ojolimi. The news hit her like a storm, sparking a jealousy and bitterness she hadn't known she was capable of. In her desperation, she decided she had to get him back, convinced that his happiness belonged only to her. Ketu returned to the village under the guise of reconciliation, but her intentions were far darker. She wanted to watch, sighting with jealousy as she saw Kelioojor and Ojolimi and their child, obsessed with the idea of reclaiming the love she had once scorned. She hatched a plan to steal Kelioojor's son, thinking it would bring her closer to him. Late one night, with shadows stretched across the village path, Ketu crept silently towards Kelioojor and Ojolimi's modest home. The air was thick with the quiet sound of the village at the rest, broken only by occasional chirps of crickets. Her heart pounded as she approached the window, through which a faint light glowed. Inside, she could see Ojolimi gently rocking their child to sleep, singing a soft lullaby. The sight stirred something dark within her, an envy so intense it nearly consumed her. She waited, watched as Ojolimi finally laid the child down in his crib and gently left the room. When the house was silent, Kelioojor crept inside, her steps casual, her step cautious, her breath shallow. She tiptoed to the crib, gazing at the sleeping child. He had Kelioojor's gentle features, and something in his peaceful face tugged at her heart, if only for a moment. But her jealousy was stronger than any fleeting gift. She carefully lifted the child, holding him close to her chest. Just as she turned to leave, a creak sounded from the floorboard. She froze, and it was too late. Ojolimi appeared in the doorway, her eyes wild with shock and fury. "Ketu, what are you doing?" Ojolimi's voice trembled with a mixture of horror and rage. Panicked, Ketu clutched the child tighter, her expression hardened. "I'm taking back what's mine, Ojolimi," she hissed. But the commotion had drawn Kelioojor and others from the village, who gathered around, blocking any escape route. Ketu's plan has failed. As she looked around, realizing there was no way out, the weight of her action finally sunk in. The village was stirred and the community gathered, outraged at her audacity. Kelioojor, horrified by her desperation, confronted her. "This is what you have become, Ketu," he said, his voice laced with disgust. "You steal an innocent child to satisfy your pride?" Ketu, wide-eyed and cornered, spat back. "You don't deserve any happiness without me, Kelioojor. You were mine first. If I can't have you, no one will." Kelioojor was shocked. "You broke up with me. You wanted an expensive life. You wanted someone from your class. So what is this?" Some of the villagers managed to get hold of Ketu and the baby. They asked Kelioojor, "What should we do with her?" "Take her to the authorities," he said. Ketu was taken away. As she sat in her cell, realities finally set in. She realized the extent of her choice, the love she had betrayed, and the emptiness that now filled her life. All her ambition and pride had led her to a dead end. Meanwhile, Kelioojor and Ojolimi found solace in each other and were happy that their child was okay. They knew they had something Ketu would never understand: true, enduring love that went beyond appearance and status.